So this is a scene from Annie Hall, 1977. Ivan hasn't seen a lot of Woody Allen. Is that fair?
Not a lot. I have seen Annie Hall. It was a long time ago. I watched it and Manhattan close together, and I've conflated the two movies.
That's fair enough. As a Woody fan, I can understand why you thought that. This is a scene where Alvy, the lead character, and his girlfriend are waiting to go see a movie. I think they might be going to see a Bergman film. I can't remember.
We saw the Fellini film last Tuesday. It is not one of his best. It lacks a cohesive structure. You get the feeling that he's not absolutely sure what it is he wants to say. Of course, I've always felt he was essentially a technical filmmaker. Granted, La Strada was a great film. Great in its use of negative imagery more than anything else. But that simple, cohesive core, that must lead through an artist's work, leading from one to the other.
Screaming his opinions in my
You
ear.
know what I'm talking about? Like all that Juliet of the Spirits or Satyricon. I found it incredibly
What's
indulgent.
Woody's profession in this one?
It's one of the most indulgent filmmakers.
It's comedian.
And without getting, let's put it this way,
Depressed
without sublimating.
I miss my therapy. I overslept.
How can you possibly oversleep?
The alarm clock.
You know the hostile gesture that is to me?
I know, because of our sexual problem, right?
Everybody online at the New Yorker has to know our rate of intercourse.
It's like Samuel Beckett. I admire the technique, but it doesn't hit me on a gut level.
I'd like to hit this guy on a gut level.
Stop it, Alvy.
He's spitting on my neck, He's spitting on my neck.
And you know something else? You're so egocentric that if I miss my therapy, you can only think of it in terms of how it affects you.
Velton shop is what it is.
Probably on their first date, right? Probably met by answering an ad in the New York Review of Books. 30-ish academic wishes to meet woman who's interested in Mozart, James Joyce, and sodomy. Sexual problem. Comparatively normal for a guy raised in Brooklyn.
Okay, I'm very sorry. My sexual problem. Okay, my sexual problem, huh?
I never read that. That was Henry James, right? Novel?
It's the influence of television. Now, Marshall McLuhan,
Nicely done.
in terms of it being a high intensity, you understand, a hot medium,
What I
as
would
opposed
give for a
to,
large sock
as
of horse
opposed to the
manure in
print,
it.
which is essentially
What do you
weird.
do when you get stuck on a movie line with a guy like this behind you?
Wait a minute, why can't I
It's
give
just
my
maddening.
opinion? It's a free country.
He can give you. You have to give it so loud. I mean, aren't you ashamed to pontificate like that? And the funny part of it is, Marshall McLuhan, you don't know anything about Marshall McLuhan's work.
Really, I happen to teach a class at Columbia called TV, Media, and Culture. So I think that my insights into Mr. McLuhan have a great deal of validity.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because I happen to have Mr. McLuhan right here. So yeah, just let me come over here a second.
I heard what you were saying. You know nothing of my work. You mean my whole fallacy is wrong. How you ever got to teach a course in anything is totally amazing.
Boy, if life were only like this.
If life were only like that, that would be amazing.
Well, so, I was sensing... Obviously, this is part of my long con to get you...
To watch Woody Allen movies.
Yes, and I was sensing a bit of heat between you and Woody. A little bit.
I've gotten to that point, I don't know if it's my age or whatever the other circumstances are, just that basically like Manhattan people constantly talking about all their problems. Just bored, like, oh, I missed my therapy session, and you're making me missing my therapy session your problem, and it's like that sort of stuff where, yeah, I know they're not glorifying it or anything or saying it's good, but even just kind of being around that, just being around those people vicariously through the movie just kind of puts me off. I just, because I am actually a bit like I'm with Woody in that line with the guy behind him.
Yeah.
But I'm also doing that to Woody and Diane Keaton.
I've been that guy, the guy behind, probably more than I've been the Woody guy in this scene. And so I'm sorry if you've had to listen to any of that. But if you're listening to this show, then But look, I mean, the thing about that New York vibe is that, you know, I thought it was, you kind of think it's not real. And then when I went there, it was 100% real.
Right.
Like I went to just a restaurant. I mean, I know there's a lot going on in different parts of New York and there's different ways of living there. As the criminals in the underground and the people having mental breakdowns will attest.
Yeah.
There's many ways of knowing in New York. Yep. But me and my wife went to just an Indian restaurant, and then the people next to us, we were in a Woody Allen movie. They were saying it was like a woman, like a boomer woman and a young guy, and she was like a friend of the family. So, and they were just talking, the stuff they were talking about, the way they were talking was exactly like out of a Woody Allen movie. I was just like, oh my God, like they were wrapped up in their own little world, and it was a nice area. So, you know, they've got the means to be able to get involved. So yeah, it's a totally real thing. But I mean, I don't know where to start. I love, this scene is just a total wish fulfillment, because, I mean, it was apparently originally meant to be, he was going to pull out Fellini.
Right.
Because obviously we start talking about Fellini, and that's, you know, but then we shift to Marshall McLuhan, and then he brings out Marshall McLuhan because that's who they could get hold of. But if it had been Fellini, this would have been a scene for the ages.
Yeah.
But would Fellini have been able to, I guess Woody could have gotten him to just speak in Italian and the subtitles could have come up, which still would have worked. It still totally would have worked.
Yeah.
And he could have been way more expressive. This is more droll because Marshall McLuhan's a non-actor, so he's just like slamming this guy. But a great, I don't know, that guy's, the supporting guy, the guy behind Alvy in the line, what a great comedic performance, in that he's totally giving it, being a snob, and then you really feel for him when he says, hey, wait a minute, you know, like, what about my opinion? And then, and just the great, he gets a little 1, 2, 3 of his own.
I don't feel for him. I don't feel for him at all. Because shut up about your opinion. That's what I say.
What about?
At least. Well, my big problem with that guy is
he didn't say anything. This is just the look we do now, where I've got more. It's just, you know.
So this is derailed.
No. Keep going.
This is all right. Comment about what you think about that in the comments, right?
No, but like, do you miss cinema culture, and do you miss waiting in lines to go see movies, and the movies as a collective experience? Because this is what I get when I talk to my nephew, is that he doesn't understand. I mean, he you know, maybe later in life he might argue that, I don't know, talking with people, you know, online about Minecraft or playing multiplayer games is a collective experience, as it very well may be. But cinema is, you know, waiting in line, putting up with people's bullshit, sitting down, and then you feeling each other's reactions to the film together all at once, you know?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much of this is nostalgia, but I do miss the old version of it. And as a middle-aged man, I'm very wary of saying, you know, back in my day. But back in our
You do
day,
have a day, and there was a time when it was the day.
So I'm wondering was I just happier because I was young?
And you had no responsibilities.
Or were things better? But I do kind of think that, yeah, maybe putting up with some person's loud opinion in the line, I would rather do that than whatever dumb shit people are doing on their phones. And with their phones. It's more with their phones, you know, inside the cinema.
The phones are a problem.
Yeah.
I think we could do a whole show about that. But yeah, certainly cinema culture has turned on me. But even going to the cinema, like waiting in line, like this is just going to be, I don't know, it's tied up with a whole other thing. Maybe another aspect to Annie Hall is the same when I watched Seinfeld. I used to watch Seinfeld a lot when I was in high school, and it was just the epitome of how to live your life. I was just like, I want my life to be like that.
Yeah.
I want to have that apartment and drink Snapple and go to China, get Chinese takeout delivered.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing here. Yeah.
You know, like all of that stuff was just dazzling. They'd go to the movies and they'd talk about Superman, and it was just like, you know, I don't know, that was a lot of sweets. They had junior mints and cakes and babka, and it was fun and funny, and they were, you know, so I just loved that. But, you know, I guess a more tempered, highbrow version is like when you watch Woody Allen movies, I feel the same. I want my life to be like a Woody Allen movie, like Annie Hall. Like it's so sophisticated, and the way they talk and the things they do and the books they read and the places they go. Again, I just get totally lost in it.